There were things we believed would always be there. The simple peace of a grocery run, supermarket aisles overflowing with choices, a quiet morning where your only worry was whether to buy apples or oranges. But now, that reality is unraveling. Today, consumer confidence has plunged to near-record lows. A relentless trade war brews in the background. Economic uncertainty has become our new normal. Shelves are emptying. Options are shrinking. And the American dream, one rooted in abundance, ease, and security, is beginning to fade. Across the country, Americans are walking into stores and finding a new kind of emptiness, not just in the shelves, but in their hearts. A mother driving through 3 towns to find milk for her baby, a woman staring at a half-stocked shelf, trying to calculate dinner versus her next utility bill. This isn't just happening in one struggling neighborhood, it's spreading to dozens of states. Even to those once called the most prosperous, this video brings together data, personal testimony, and a shared concern for what's unfolding across the United States. We don't represent any party or agenda. We simply ask, are we paying attention to the quiet collapse happening around us? Let's look closer at the 10 states where the shelves are going bare, and the American dream is quietly slipping into memory. 1. California. From fruit basket to empty crates. California was once the pride of American abundance. Fresh produce, fully stocked stores, and choice after choice in every aisle. Today, even giant chains like Walmart, Safeway, Vons, and Ralph's are struggling to stay stocked or even stay open. Local residents say they've never seen it this bad. One woman shared, "I've lived here my whole life. I've never walked into a Walmart and seen it that empty. The water was gone. The cereal aisle, half bare. Groceries once taken for granted are now hard to find. Eggs, potatoes, milk. Basic items now require trips to multiple stores. And when you do find them, be prepared to pay more. Food prices in California jumped 13% in 2024 alone. While incomes stagnate, costs soar. And who feels it most? The elderly on fixed incomes. Working-class families barely hanging on. The ones who built this state with their hands. A single mother put it bluntly, "I never thought I'd have to choose between paying my light bill and buying eggs, but here I am." California, once the Golden State, now feels like it's running on fumes. The question no one seems to be answering. How did we let this happen? 2. New York, the city that never sleeps. Now running on empty, New York has long been the symbol of American prosperity. The lights, the variety, the promise that anything is possible. But the shelves tell a different story now. In the past year alone, nearly 14% of New York City's independent grocery stores have shut down. The steepest drop since the 2008 financial crisis. From Brooklyn to Queens to the Bronx, familiar neighborhood markets are vanishing. In some neighborhoods, stores are limiting essentials like milk and bread to 2 per customer. Lines stretch down the block for basics we once took for granted. Meanwhile, prices are skyrocketing. Milk, eggs, produce, all rising faster than wages. One 73-year-old man in Queens said it best, "I've lived through a lot, but I've never seen America in this kind of shape." The working poor, the elderly, even middle-class professionals now feel the squeeze. The promises of cheaper goods and economic recovery, they're beginning to sound like distant echoes. And the lights of New York? They still shine, but behind them, the anxiety grows. 3. Texas, the land of plenty, faces the void. Texas was the land of opportunity, the open skies of freedom, a place where families came to build better lives. But now, that promise is faltering. In the last 2 years, over 800 small and mid-sized grocery stores have closed, many in rural regions like West Texas and the Rio Grande Valley. Today, 2.3 million Texans live in food deserts, places where no fresh food is sold within 10 miles. One farmer outside San Antonio said it plainly, "We've farmed our whole lives, but when disaster hits, the help comes too late. Too little, we lose the harvest, we lose the meals." This is Texas now, a place where proud families once celebrated harvests, now wondering if they can afford bread. Meals once filled with bounty now depend on whether the store has restocked that day. If even Texas, the backbone of American independence, is starting to break, what hope do the rest of us have? 4. Florida, the retirement dream turned costly illusion. Florida was the dream: sunshine, palm trees, peaceful retirement. But now, for many, that dream is slipping away. In just 3 years, over 1,500 grocery stores have closed across the state. Natural disasters, rising rent, and inflation have gutted supply lines. Even major chains like Winn-Dixie and Albertsons are shutting doors. Food prices in Florida have surged 10.4%, higher than the national average. The hardest hit? The elderly. Seniors living on savings now face impossible choices. Nearly 27% of Florida seniors have cut back on food this year, not because of diet, but because they can't afford it. "I skip breakfast, sometimes lunch too," said one retiree. "Groceries are just too expensive now." Florida was supposed to be a place to rest, to enjoy life's final chapter. But for many, it's becoming a chapter they'd rather not read. 5. Illinois. From industrial titan to grocery graveyard. Once a proud symbol of American prosperity, Illinois, especially Chicago, is now grappling with a harsh new reality. In 2024 alone, more than 40 major retailers closed their doors in the city and surrounding suburbs. Over 150,000 residents in Chicago's South Side and West Side now live in food deserts. People must travel miles, sometimes by bus, just to find vegetables, meat, or milk. And even when they do, many can't afford it. A 62-year-old former mechanic shared, "I used to shop with my family every weekend. Now I drive 30 minutes just to grab a few basics, and that's if I can pay for them." The disappearance of stores isn't just inconvenient, it's heartbreaking. It tells a bigger story about neglect, broken promises, and a quiet abandonment of working-class neighborhoods. 6. Oregon, the land of trees, and now of scarcity. Known for its natural beauty and strong community values, Oregon is now facing a slow-motion crisis. A 28% decline in port activity has severely disrupted the supply chain. Rural and even suburban areas report weeks without basics like milk, greens, or flour. With food prices 13% above the national average, many Oregonians feel not just deprived, but forgotten. One resident asked, "If the goods stop today, will there be anything to feed our kids tomorrow?" In a state blessed with nature's gifts, it's a cruel irony that people now wonder when the next meal will come. As policymakers chase big promises, everyday families in Oregon are quietly left behind. 7. Nevada. The lights still shine, but the fridges are empty. Las Vegas may dazzle tourists, but outside the Strip, a different story unfolds. In southern Nevada, food bank demand has surged over 35% since 2023. Supply imports are down, and basic goods are scarce. Frozen food, bottled water, even vegetables, all becoming harder to find. Residents are turning to canned goods not out of choice, but necessity. One laid-off hotel technician said, "I used to create 5-star experiences. Now I count every can of beans just to get through the week." Behind the glitz of the casinos lies a quieter, more painful reality, that even in the land of fortune, survival is becoming the new gamble. 8. Arizona. The sun sets on security. Arizona's retirees and working families once flocked here for affordable living and sunshine, but the desert is now exposing a harsh truth. Food assistance reliance has surged 30% in just 3 years. Major chains are shutting down in Phoenix, Tucson, and beyond. Low-income families face hours-long trips in the blazing heat just to shop. When even water and fresh produce become luxuries, we have to ask, who is this country really looking out for anymore? 9. Michigan. From Motor City to meal lines. Detroit built the engines of America. Today, it lines up for groceries. Over 40% of Detroiters now live in food deserts, Prices are up. Access is down. An auto worker of 40 years shared, "We built the cars that carried this country. Now we wait in line for vegetables." Michigan's story is a reminder that no legacy, no matter how mighty, is immune to neglect. 10. Washington, where prosperity meets silence. Washington state, once lauded for its balance of innovation and nature, is showing cracks. A 25% drop in port activity, soaring prices, limited stock. Even middle-class families are now rationing groceries. It's hard to believe the state that gave us tech giants and green policies is now struggling with food access. But here we are. What do we do now? This isn't just about groceries. It's about the future. The shelves going empty are just the beginning. When food disappears, so does stability, dignity, and trust. Where do you live? What are you seeing? Share your story in the comments. If this message resonates, hit subscribe. Because together, we can document the truth before more of what we took for granted vanishes forever.